And on today's Riderflex podcast, we have Kevin Daisey, the co-founder and chief marketing officer for Array Digital. Kevin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you having me on, and look forward to answering your questions and hopefully, share some value with your listeners. So
Yeah, absolutely. So you're in Virginia, right?
I'm in Virginia.
That's where,
Array Digital is our company. I'm in Virginia. I'm actually from Chincoteague Island, Virginia.
where's that? I have no idea.
So there's a small section of Virginia that's on the coast called the Eastern Shore of Virginia.
Okay.
It's actually a small little island, about 3 miles by 7 miles, and a population of about 2,000 or 3,000 people.
Wow. Okay.
There's wild horses there, and all kinds of cool stuff. And it's right on the ocean with a beach. And
that's where you went to high. That's where you went to high school.
That's where I went to high school. There's only one school there, and it's middle school and high school are all the same school.
Oh, wow. So how many people in your graduating class?
55.
55. Wow. Okay. What'd your folks do?
So my dad is actually a decoy carver. So he carves ducks and birds out of wood.
Wow. Okay. You can make a living doing that? I guess so. I don't know.
The guys that are good or the women that are good do very well. My dad's made a living. He started the business when he was like 8 years old and never really went to work anywhere other than doing his own thing. So,
so that's where the entrepreneurial bug comes from right there then, huh? You got it early.
Yeah, maybe so. So yeah, I've always been good with woodworking and building stuff as well, which is a kind of a hobby of mine.
Okay.
And my mom has just always done, no one has college education. My mom worked at an insurance company as like a front desk.
Okay.
So she's always just had something like that.
Okay.
So.
All right. And yourself, so after you graduated high school, you went to college, I think, for a couple of years. Tell us that story.
Yeah. So interesting story. So what kind of got me going on where I'm at now, which goes back to my education, I guess, is that I went to high school and actually in middle school, I had a short HTML class on HTML.
Okay.
And so getting to when we talk about my company more, I'll get into that. But
okay. All right.
I really didn't know what I was going to do. I knew what I liked to do, but I didn't really think of that as being a career opportunity. So I went to school kind of last minute. I went to a trade school called ITT Tech, which I think is now not even accredited. But I got my associate's degree in computer-aided drafting and was thinking about going into architecture. I had an art scholarship. I stopped at that point and went on to work for an engineering firm after 2 years. So
okay, and this was in Virginia.
This was in Virginia, yeah.
Okay. And then now, when you went to work for somebody else, were you thinking, I want to do my own thing, I want to start my own company, or that wasn't really happening yet?
It wasn't happening yet. So really, where I'm from, there's no jobs. You can't make any money. The average person at my age there now might make $20,000 a year. So
wow. Okay.
I knew I didn't want to do that.
Right.
But getting that engineering job with a big firm with benefits and a salary, $30,000 a year plus benefits was like the biggest thing ever.
Right. You probably thought you were rich back then. You're like, wow, I'm making 30 grand. I can buy a car.
Yeah, I think I did. I went and bought a car. It was probably the dumb thing to do, but yeah, I was like, this is the best thing ever. And from where I'm from, like I was making it. That was it. So
okay, great.
It took a couple years to hit me that this is not for me.
Okay.
So, which I can get into that as well.
So then what? Yeah. So at some point you started doing your own thing, right? Let's move into that. Were you just freelancing and you had a couple of customers and then you started a business? Walk us through how that happened.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to what I was saying, in middle school, I had a teacher that I think very much that had a HTML class, and it was like a really small little class on HTML.
Okay.
And I was hooked at that point. So all through middle school and high school, I would make websites for
really?
Things I was into, or games that I liked, or surfing, or whatever it might be.
Okay.
So just for personal stuff. And then what I started to do was like biology, which I was almost going to fail biology, but I started doing websites as part of my reports or my projects. And I was the only kid doing that for anything.
Right.
So I saw an advantage there, and I started doing that with other classes, and I was getting like 105 on like the final project where, the best kids in the class were mad because they only got like 100 on theirs. And then in college, I did the same thing. I built websites to go along with my final projects, and I just excelled and was more interested in the work I was doing on the website side than I was the actual work.
Now, you weren't getting paid. No cash is coming in at this time yet.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
Okay. All right.
So after college, I went and got the job, and I kind of became the design guy around the office, even though that wasn't my job. I was doing Photoshop and I was doing other things. So I was pulling towards the design side, although my managers were like, just do what you're supposed to be doing and knock out this work. And so it was a cubicle-based company. I was just in a cubicle. The more hours I build, the better.
Okay.
And I started to do websites on the side. And about 2 years into this, I started to charge money for it. So I was freelancing.
Okay.
And then I joined a group here, which I don't know about around the rest of the country, but there's things called technology councils or these technology groups that exist.
Okay.
Usually by city or region. And so I joined this group on my own, and that's when I met entrepreneurs and the heads of like these big companies. Like, I don't know if you heard of like Cox Communications.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, did you join this group specifically for networking? You were thinking, man, I want to build my freelance business and I need to network, and that's why I'm going to join this group.
Absolutely. Well, I was just intrigued to get out and meet people. I was at my firm, it was you just be here and work. There's not a lot of opportunity to get out.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I just wanted to get out and meet people and see some different things. And then it instantly became, I can get work here. I'm meeting people.
I see.
And I was getting influenced for sure by other owners and stuff like that I was meeting.
Now, were you married, kids, anything at this time? Any family stuff?
Not at that time. I did have a girlfriend who's my wife now.
Okay. All right.
And she was a huge supporter and motivation for me to do my own thing as well.
She's like, hey, get out there, go to these events.
Well, she was there, for that. But also at the time, she was making about 4 times what I made.
Oh, okay.
And try to date a girl that makes 4 times as much as you.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
You want to pick up the tab and stuff like that. And
what's she do?
She's a recruiter.
She's a recruiter. Oh man. Okay. So
she's one of the top producing recruiters at her company.
Now you're going to have to go home after this interview and tell her, sweetheart, I'm sorry, but Riderflex is going to do all of our recruiting and staffing from now on.
Maybe she can come work for you guys. But,
right. But anyway, so you're going, it's a really good point though about the networking events. A lot of people, I think a lot of people hate doing those. I call them shaking hands and kissing babies, and some people can, some people can do it. Some people can't. A lot of people can do it, but hate doing it. Bottom line is, if you're looking to make connections and you have a service of some kind, especially in the service business, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you can gain customers there. You can network. You can make contacts, right? So you're there. You're shaking hands, and so you start landing some more customers.
Absolutely. So I got kind of in with the board and some of the people running the group, and they kind of just took me under their wing and said, hey, you should be more part of this group. And I started to share my ideas about starting my own company and all that stuff. But yeah, networking by far has been one of the biggest things for me. So without that and out meeting people and connections, to this day, our business, runs off of that. And my network and my business partners network still beats all the sales efforts that we put into to run this business. So that's been the biggest thing I would say for anyone listening. Go out and meet people, get out of your comfort zone, no matter what you're doing. If you're looking to go up higher in your career, or if you're starting your own business, who matters big time. And then how you also learn to communicate with people. And if you're in a big meeting where you're trying to sell something, that's going to help you a lot.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more. It's so important. Okay. So then at some point, take us to the point where you came home and said, honey, I'm quitting my job and I'm going to do my stuff full time. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So I was at that firm, Kimley Horn and Associates was the company. And I was there. It was about 3 years where I was all in, like really good employee. I was crushing it.
Okay.
And at some point around that 3-year mark is when, I was like, this is not going to work for me. It was a combination of they gave me like a financial plan for the next 30 years. And I just felt that's all I'm going to accomplish in my life.
Mm.
And then my wife making way more than me and meeting all these entrepreneurs. So there's things combined was like, I'm done. I'm not sure how yet, but I'm not going to be here long.
Okay.
And so, I told my wife, or my girlfriend at the time, that I was looking at doing this and I wasn't sure how I was going to ease into it. But I'm out regardless. So it's happening. I didn't really have the answers yet on how I was going to start and pull it off.
Okay. Were you like 25, 24? How old were you?
23.
23. Okay.
Yeah. So I was a little younger in the workforce because I only went to college for 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I graduated high school in 2000 and I was working there in 2002 at the end of that year. So,
okay. All right. All right. And so go ahead. So then at some point, when did you come up with the name, right? You had ID Web Studios, I think was the name of your company or LLC. Talk to us about how'd you come up with the name? When did, at some point you filed for that? Go ahead.
You've done your research.
Yeah. Yep.
So the way I came up with the company name, I had to have something, right? I didn't want it to be, for a while I was Kevin Daisey, the website guy. And that was totally fine from the freelancing side. But I was like, yeah, I got to be something bigger. I got to be more than me.
A brand. I got to build a brand.
Yes. I want to grow this and I don't want it to be just Kevin.
Yep.
And so website guy was great for a while and I needed to have something else. So I did a few years really without the name. It was kind of just me. But my LLC, I wanted ideation. So the word ideation, which was kind of unique and it wasn't anything out there and it's a real word. And it meant, the concept of ideas or something like that.
Okay.
And so I liked it, but I couldn't get the .com. I'd already filed the LLC and I was doing all this stuff and I just didn't do enough research. And so it was hard for people to say too. So I'd say, hey, it's Kevin with Ideation Web Studios. They'd be like, what? What was that? And so I had purchased ID Web. So ideation was the ID part.
I see.
ID Web Studios. I wanted it to be shorter. And so I just DBA'd ID Web.
Okay.
And I thought identity, ideas, what the ID could stand for different things.
Yeah.
So that was how I got there.
By the way, good tip for the listeners, right? If you're thinking about starting a business, I highly encourage you to go on to GoDaddy or something and get the URL actually before you file the LLC name so they can both be the same. A lot of times people file the LLC and then they're like, oh, okay. Oh, crap. That URL is already taken, right? So.
Absolutely. Since then, any business I'm part of or start is the domain is a big part of that decision.
Big deal. Yep. I couldn't agree more. Okay, cool. All right. Now, no employees at this time, right? Just you still.
Just me at this time, working from my condo in Virginia Beach.
Now you're making even less, right? You already had pressure from the girlfriend, before. And she's like, okay. She's like,
man.
Holy cow, this guy. Now he's making even less money.
I filed a loss the first year.
Oh boy.
So I think I lost 10 grand. Now, I made money from jobs, but funding everything and paying for stuff and I ended up losing money.
Oh boy. All right.
But it gets better. It does get better.
Go ahead. Tell us when you start rounding the corner. Yeah. What was it? But was there a big contract that came in that kind of like, oh wow, okay, I'm at the next level?
They got a little bit bigger. So, I think everyone would say this, you got to raise your prices. You got to, charge what you're worth. And it's hard to do when you're starting out and you don't even know what you are worth. But
hi, my name's Kevin. I'm 24 and I don't really have a ton of experience, but I need you to pay me a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, these people, I'm like, that's the hard part. When you're young, it's even harder for anyone to listen to you or take you seriously.
Right.
So not to mention, let's talk about this real quick. It was the crash of the economy when I started this. So, but here's where I win, I think.
Okay.
I got to do some more data on this, but so first year I lose money,
All right.
10,000. Second year I made 20 to 30,000.
Okay.
Third year, 60 some thousand.
Now you're finally at more than you were making at that first job at the third year.
Yes. So now I got to pay taxes and myself and all this other stuff. But yes, I'm making
No employees yet.
no employees yet.
All right.
Then I hit 96,000, I think, on my fourth year. So I'm like,
now you're getting some confidence.
6 figures, no overhead, no employees.
Nice. All right.
But I can't take off. I can't leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go on vacations barely. I can't do nothing. So
yep.
I am tied to my work 100%.
Okay.
And another thing with the down economy I was mentioning, the thing is I was cheap and I was taking anything I could get.
Okay.
So where are the bigger companies like us now, we're probably losing some of that work. I was there to snag it up.
Okay. Yep.
And I think that kept me busy through the times when it was really slow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I was an option they could afford. So for fourth year I was making 90 some thousand, but then I hit a wall. I was making almost about $1,000 or more or less. It was the same number for like 2 or 3 years after that.
Okay. Plus, I mean, you can only scale. I mean, you can only do so much tactical work yourself, right?
Yeah. So I was out of bandwidth. I couldn't do anymore.
Yep.
I could raise my prices, or just get better, which I was getting better. And I was raising my prices slowly, but the numbers kept coming in about the same. Okay. Now, I think the fourth or fifth year, I did bring on a contractor. That was my first step towards hiring somebody.
Now, what did that feel like? The very first time you gave a project to somebody else, and all of a sudden, they're touching your brand, your reputation. How'd that feel? Scary?
Yeah, I was a little concerned. I mean, I had done everything myself, and my stamp of approvals on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I knew I needed to do it. And I said, I have so much work. I need someone to help me do this. And I don't think I gave up like a whole project. It was probably like, hey, do these pieces, and I'm gonna be on there with you.
Yep.
And the only downside though is I made the same amount, and now I paid someone $40,000.
There you go.
And that's when I was like, well, maybe this is just part of doing business. Until I made my second hire. Well, so this person went away, and then I made another hire, and he's still an employee. He's an employee with me now.
Oh, that's great.
And we went from 90 or 100,000 to 200 and some thousand.
So, and now what allowed you to be able to scale the business with employees and make more? Did you continue to raise your prices right there, or what your margins got better? What happened there?
Well, for one, this guy who's, again, still one of my employees now, he's a producer, man. He can outwork anybody. He's very focused, very task oriented.
Gotcha.
And knocks stuff out. So I'm pretty sure we raised prices a slight bit, but we were just able to crush through more work.
Okay. Which
really, I think, here's me. I'm a networker. I'm one bringing in all the work. Mm-hmm. I literally could go out and do more of that. So
you're the rainmaker, and he's knocking it down.
Exactly. So I think that's what allowed us to do it.
Yeah, that's key. I mean, that's great to have that kind of teamwork. Scott and I are really very similar on Riderflex. You know, he gets the gigs, or when we first started, he would get the gigs, and I would knock down the gigs. And so that's good. What's that employee's name?
That's Jason Bonviri.
Jason. Okay, Jason's getting highlighted on the Riderflex podcast because he's still there. How many years has he been there?
Well, when I first started working with Jason, I wasn't big enough to just say, hey, here's a salary and benefits and all that stuff. So
no.
Jason stuck with me, but that was probably in 2012-ish.
Wow. Okay.
2013, something like that. And he was a contractor then, and I paid him by the job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and then, eventually hired him, and now he's got benefits and all that good stuff.
That's fantastic. That's a great story. That's a great story. Now he's that's awesome. Okay, cool. And so you're growing it. And then how many employees did you have, and how big was it in revenue before you merged with your partner, Eric Olson, and you guys started Array?
Yeah. So IDWeb, at one point we probably went to like 2 or 3 offices. And at one point, I think I had about 6 people.
Okay.
And a couple interns as well.
Were you doing $1 million a year yet, or where were you on volume?
No, we were probably just under 400,000.
Okay. All
So
right.
yeah, we were working our butts off. We had a lot of big brands. I will say we did great with the companies that we were able to secure.
Okay.
Problem was, which, I can get into later. Our problem was we were a project-based business and we just had no reoccurring revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And we just had to go get the same amount of work every year. So we grew a little bit, but if I had $300,000 in billables the previous year, I had to go start all over again.
Yep.
And that just became very difficult. And I was starting to get a little frustrated to continue to do that.
If you're an advertising or marketing firm of any kind, I just interviewed another guy that has one in Boulder, and his line was, "Hey, if you own a marketing agency, you start losing your client as soon as you gain them, right? Because eventually you do the project work, and they're like, okay, cool, thanks a lot, appreciate that work. We're good now."
Absolutely, and that's where we were, and we kept our name on stuff, and we said, hey, that's our client, but they really weren't our client after we were done.
Right.
And so that was a big turning point. Is I really want to grow this thing, but I can't believe this is the only place I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm.
Doing fine, but just I was putting more money back in it than I was getting out of it myself. That's for sure.
Okay.
So
still probably at that point, still probably paying yourself around $100,000 or something.
Actually, I think I scaled it back. I was actually paying myself less.
Okay. So business scaling up, but you personally, you're kind of stuck or going backwards a little bit. And that happens. I think that's important for entrepreneurs to hear, especially in like a service business. I mean, if you're going to scale it up and total volume and start bringing on employees, it definitely does not mean you're going to start paying yourself more. And in fact, sometimes you end up paying yourself less.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's part of it.
If you expect you're just going to, start a company and make, $100,000 the first year to second year, whatever, it's possible, I guess. It depends on what you're doing, but it's not healthy for the business. And it's
that's right.
Sometimes if once you start that way, it's hard to go back. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Sorry, I got you off track. So you were in this spot where you're like, all right, I'm kind of stuck right here. And then let me guess, you met Eric somewhere.
Yeah. So my company, first, real quick, ID Web, we did websites and we did SEO, which was some reoccurring revenue. We did a lot of hosting, which is a lot of problems, but not a lot of reoccurring revenue.
Okay.
And any kind of marketing design stuff. We didn't really do, any ongoing marketing. So we were a design shop mostly, and we did just website design. We weren't like a programming shop.
Okay.
So, but I got a lot of leads. I had a huge SEO. I ranked for everything on SEO.
Okay.
So that's when we got tons of leads. When I ran into Eric, which is that entrepreneurs organization,
all right,
we were actually part of that group as a strategic alliance partner. If you don't know about that group, you have to be do $1 million a year to be a member.
Okay.
Which we are members now, so I'm happy to report that. But, so I met him at this event, and Eric was kind of standoffish, like, "Oh, you're my competitor." And I started talking to him, and he actually had a civil engineering background, which is kind of where I came from. And he did programming and software. And so not too long after that, I had a client reach out to me and say, "Hey, we got this big project we want to do, and we want you guys to see if you can do it." Well, it was way outside of our ability.
Mm-hmm.
But I know we could design it. So I called up Eric and said, "Hey, we never worked together, but I have this big opportunity. Would you be interested to check it out?" So we got that deal. It was about probably a $200,000 job. And we did the design, and his company did the programming.
And at that point, you guys just decided early on, like, listen, we'll split the invoice up. I'll take this, you take that. But you didn't merge or anything yet.
No thought of that at all. I billed the client for my stuff, and he billed the client for his stuff.
Okay, got it.
But what we started to do is my team was work with his team, and then vice versa. And I was at his office for meetings. He was at my office for meetings with the client. And then while that project was going on, I got another client that come to the table and said, "Hey, I need this big project." Okay. And that was another 200,000+, 20,000, every other week billable.
Nice.
And
nice.
Again, brought him in. they got doing their stuff. And then here we are working on 2 projects together. And
Now,
just,
were you like, hey man, I got the gig, so it's 60 for me, 40 for you? No.
but here's the sad reality is you get paid more for programming.
Oh, I see.
The design side is like, 25% of the deal. So
yeah, but you're sales. Yeah, but you're the one getting the contract signed.
that's right. But again, at this time, I either get it or I don't get it.
I hear you. No,
I wasn't hanging that over his head. I wasn't saying, hey, I want to.
Yeah. Speaking of that, so you and him now at this point, you're going to dinners, you're going to happy hours, whatever. You're hanging out. Like you got to be asking yourself, okay, do I want to hang around this guy? You're like, do I enjoy his company?
Sure.
Did his wife meet my wife? Whatever, families meet each other. Like you're doing all of you're feeling each other out during this period, right? You're trying to decide whether or not you want to be around this guy all the time.
Well, so I'll come to that. At this time, we're still not thinking about this at all. Like
you're not hanging out
we're hanging out, but we're hanging out for sure. But we're not thinking merge.
Okay.
Like I own my own company. I don't want anyone else involved, and he's thinking the same thing.
Right.
I'm just thinking, how can I keep growing my company? And I did start to think, I'm bringing him a lot of work.
Yeah.
And he's saying, hey, this guy's bringing me a lot of work.
Okay.
So my benefit was I got a team that can do the work, and his benefit is that I'm bringing them, the work that he can't find.
Yep. Got it.
So I'm thinking, okay, the next project, I need to make more money or be more part of, the profit here.
Mm-hmm.
And before I got to that conclusion and kind of brought that up, me and him both went to a mergers and acquisitions conference.
Now, whose idea was that?
Well, it's part of EO. EO has.
I see.
They had a learning event, and we both went, and we weren't there together. We were kind of sitting apart.
Okay.
And after that, we had a happy hour, and me and him were joking that what if we merged? And that kind of started the conversation. And we have all these jobs and this work coming in, but we're 2 separate brands. Mm-hmm. So what really led to the ultimate decision was we were bidding on another job together for about $500,000, and we didn't get it because we looked too wishy-washy. We were 2 different companies. They decided to go with a bigger company that had all the redundancies that we would have had if we were one. Mm. And that was kind of the nail in the coffin. It was, we have to merge. We can't lose opportunities like this anymore.
Okay. Now, how many employees did he have and did you have at that point?
At that point, I think I had about 4 or 5. So I didn't have my interns at the time.
Okay.
So I had about 4 just core employees at that point.
And he had how many?
And he had maybe 5, maybe 6.
You guys doing about the same amount in volume, revenue?
No, again, programming, he was doing more. He was around 800,000 and I was not quite at 4.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. I mean, I'm curious as to how these conversations went when you started drawing up the operating agreement and the cap table.
Oh yeah. So we had to figure all that stuff out. And at first it was like, is this even a good idea? Mm-hmm. And so we started by saying, well, let's open up our books. Are you comfortable showing me your books? And I was like, I don't have any problem. And he said, all right, let's sign NDAs. Let's open up their books. If it goes further, then we'll go ask our team, get our wives to meet and all this other stuff, right?
Yep.
We wanted buy-in from our team for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we both felt good about our books. Neither one of us had any debt and neither one of us we didn't owe any money to anybody. So
gotcha. And
both of our businesses ran without any kind of debt.
You both owned 100% of your LLCs at that time.
Yeah, exactly.
No other partners or anything. No outside cash. Okay. Cash flow positive, no debt. Good.
Exactly. So
awesome.
Both of us looking good. And pretty much the same. I mean, with Eric, he had his employees cost a lot more. They're programmers, software developers.
Right. Yep.
Inching up into the 6-figure range per employee. Mm-hmm. Where mine were, not at those numbers, maybe half that. So there was a difference there. So his payroll was scary looking to me. But at the end of the day, he was more, he was bringing in more revenue and had more cash to play with.
Okay.
With us, we were small and we were, fighting for every little job. Of course, I was bringing in a lot of the work that we were doing at that time. So.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, so he had about 6, I had about 4. And that's what we had to work with. So after we said, yeah, it looks good, we talked to our team. He's like, hey, let's talk. You talk to your team, I'll talk to mine. Both teams felt comfortable to work together.
Okay.
And then we kind of took it to the next step. Let's go to the lawyers and, let's start to investigate what would this look like? What would it take?
Gotcha. All right, let's get to the conversation where you guys decided he was going to get the CEO title, because I noticed that he got the CEO job and you got the CMO job. Walk us through how you decided that, and are you guys 50-50 now, or do would you split the business up, or how'd you set it up on the cap table?
Yeah. So we're not quite 50-50. He's got more than I do.
Okay.
But because he had more revenue and he had a little bit more cash to inject in.
Oh, I see. Okay. So when you guys merged, you actually put some cash in as well. What, for marketing or for sales, or
just for stability and for
operating capital?
Operating capital. Yeah. So we put about $100,000, I think we had to start with.
Okay. Now, so this is a key, I think, for the listeners. I just want to dig here just a little bit on the interview, because I think this is important.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, I think, especially in the service business and even for recruiting, right? Your wife can probably relate. I don't know if she's on her own or she works for somebody else, but whether you own an advertising firm, marketing, I don't know, whatever, you own a plumbing business, whatever. I noticed you guys service a lot of construction companies too. So often, you meet somebody that you could merge with, and it probably makes sense to merge, but there's that ego and the whole thing of like, well, this is my thing. I'm in charge of my own business. And I have met so many other recruiters that have a little business, and I'm always telling them, I'm like, listen, man, come on, let's do something together. Let's make it grow bigger. But nobody wants to give up control. Nobody wants to give up the CEO chair, the ego thing. So I want you to talk. How did you go there? How'd you let yourself do that?
So at the end of the day was what we did was we both made a couple, list of things, like what you got to get something out of it. What would be the point?
Right. So
for me, I had to write down a couple things. What do I want out of this?
Okay.
So for me, it was more money.
Yep.
Which maybe not now, but I'm looking for more money.
Yep.
And then, I have a wife and 2 young kids now. So, more time.
I saw a beautiful family, by the way. I stalked you down on Facebook, just so you know.
Okay. Thank you. Make sure you add me up there. We'll,
I will, man. I will. Sorry, I got you off track. Yeah, I saw
you're fine.
I saw the skydiving videos and everything. It's cool stuff. Anyway, you wanted, so yeah, you were looking, I wanted more money. Yeah, go ahead.
So I was like, well, what do I really want? So again, when my company at a nice spot, was, project to project, and I was just kind of getting frustrated to grow past $1 million. I wanted to do that quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm a people person. I'm a talker. I'm a connector. I can sell. I can do all that stuff.
Right.
I'm not a task person. I'm not a process person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a project manager type of person. Eric is all those things. But what I say, I want more money and I want more time.
Okay.
The question is, for both me and him sitting down, can we do this faster together than we can by ourselves?
Yeah. Can you get to more money and more time faster? Got it. Yep.
And then, yeah, exactly. And then have our company running on its own. Because here we got redundancy. I can run the company. I mean, I'm not the CEO because I didn't want that title, and it makes sense for him to have that. And I'll get to that in a second. But if he's off for a month, we're fine. We have this place, the company's running very smoothly.
Good.
I can take over anything he's doing. Of course, I'd have to learn some things and get into what he's doing on a daily basis, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
But we have backup. The other thing was, with him having his strengths and my strengths, we can grow this thing to 10 million, 50 million, 100 million. By myself, I didn't know if I could do that or not.
Yeah. And I think the listeners need to understand, if you are going to partner with somebody, they need to complement your skill sets, right? I mean, they need to be strong at stuff you're not. And
Absolutely.
I think that's so important. If you
I
go ahead.
call us yin and yang all the time. So
Yeah,
we're
it's
just,
great.
we are different, but it's a good thing. And I say
Yep.
it all the time. And, me and him have a podcast. It's a daily entrepreneurial podcast every single day. And my episode will be one day, his is the next day. And we might talk about the same topic, and we have different views, different ideas, different thoughts, but that's what makes it interesting. And then me and him get to talk about on a weekly basis about what should we decide to do or what should we do here. And we both bring different perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
and then come to a conclusion at the end of the day on what to
Gotcha.
do.
And it feels good. It was okay. I guess that's another good thing for the listeners to hear. Like, if you're going to partner with somebody and you got to take 49% and they get 51, it can work out. It will be okay if it helps you get to your ultimate goals. And your goal was, hey, I want more time for my family and I want to make a little more money. And if this can get me there faster, I'm okay with that, as long as I'm partnered with the right person.
Absolutely. I think, running your own ship is one thing, but it's very lonely there at the top.
You got that right.
This, me and him have one-on-one. We have lunch every week and sit down and talk, not even about business stuff all the time. But it's just, you're not on your own. And again, with us together with different strengths, we're scaling this thing pretty fast right now.
That's cool.
And I can talk about all that stuff too, as far as where we are, our revenue and our growth rates and all that stuff. But,
so give us that. Go ahead. Tell us kind of so right now, the company now today.
Yes.
Give us I know that everybody can go to the website, right? And they can check it out. And the website, by the way, is array.com, right? So it's ISARRAY.com. This is array.com. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the company has been rebranded to Array Digital.
Array Digital.
And we came to that name by bringing in both our teams. And it's been a whole day at my office discussing names and ideas. And we put stickies all over the wall until we came down to a couple different names. So we got the team involved in that, which is a really cool process. And that's kind of how we came to the name.
But arraydigital.com was already taken, or array.com was already taken.
Yeah, it was. Regardless, we decided on the name, and
okay. All right.
We've actually been reaching out to either purchase or sue the other ones, because we actually have a trademark on the name now.
Okay. Let me guess. They wanted like $50,000 for give up the URL or something crazy.
Yeah, something. Yeah, we've offered a few thousand here and there, but okay. They're not even using it, to be honest with you. So if they're listening right now, they're coming for you.
So you guys, so you came up with the name. Go ahead, and then the services. So primary services that you guys provide.
Yes. So Array Digital, we are a digital marketing agency. So we do social media, SEO, websites, and any kind of targeted online advertising. So we're what you would think of as a digital marketing agency. We don't do any traditional.
Okay.
No TV, no radio, no print.
Okay.
So everything we can track and track the results for our clients is what we do.
Now, can I ask you a question? I'm going to pretend like you're trying to sell me your services for a minute. I'm going to give you the same pushback you probably get from everybody else when you're trying to close the deal.
Yep.
So I probably get, I swear to God, 5 or 10 of these emails a day from somebody saying, I can improve your search rankings. I looked at your website and did an audit and I found all these mistakes. I get that shit all day long. Like, tell me, why are you guys better than all these emails I'm getting?
Oh, yeah. Here's the funny thing. I get the same emails, and I own a digital marketing company. So yeah. So we understand that. So I think what makes us, so we got some different, things that make us different.
Okay.
Obviously digital marketing is not new, and we are not new in this space.
Right.
Just like recruiting, you're not new in that space, but what makes you different? So what makes us different really is, for one, we have a lot of years in experience in website user experience, app and software development. So we actually have a software background with actual professional project managers on staff. So we understand
That's good.
how to manage projects.
Mm-hmm.
Our turnaround times are unmatched, and we actually have more process around what we do than I would say most companies I know.
Okay.
But what really makes us different is, for one, our process and ability to deliver on time. Our attention to communication, our communications plan is really what we focus on most. Mm-hmm. We have so much built in around communication where we can't fail to communicate with our clients. We have all these meetings. We have video reports that come out every 2 weeks.
That's great.
We
That's
have
really good.
Business review. So me with other CEOs of our clients sitting down quarterly to discuss business and stuff like that. And the only thing also I can say, which most people are doing, is it's a constant learning game. We have to constantly be on top of things and learn, and our whole team has to be built that way. So our culture and our core values are designed to where our team is literally on the same page. They're all learning, they're all excited, and they all love what they do.
That's great.
And so, and it's taken us a while to get there. And we've had to do a lot of learning, a lot of reading, and we've had to redevelop the whole team. So, but now I will say, we hire and fire to our core values. We have no one on the team that doesn't fit that. And again, everyone's on the same path to grow this company where we're trying to go. So
let's talk about the employees for a minute. So if you're interviewing somebody right now today, tell me what you're looking for. What are those, personality traits or characteristics you're looking for when you're sitting across the table from a candidate?
Sure. So for me, I'm looking for the qualities in the person, their personality. I can care less if they're the best at what they do and they're not a fit for the team, or they don't communicate with anyone, or they think they're the best at what they do. They're not going to get a job here. So for me, I'm looking for that they can be themselves, that they can have a decent conversation. They're not trying too hard. They can be a little nervous. That's fine. But that you see that they're going to be themselves, and they're naturally good at what they do because they're passionate about it. And so your passion is one of our core values. If you're not passionate, and that covers so many things. If you're passionate, you're going to learn, you're going to read, or whatever you want to do to learn, but you're constantly trying to get better at what you do. And then that reflects to our clients.
I think what I heard you say was too, if I could summarize a little bit, it's like, hey, if you have a strong skill set and you're really good at something, that's cool. But if you're an asshole or you're a jerk or you're not personable, like, you can't work here.
Absolutely not. And the thing is, yeah, exactly. And we can teach people. And so you don't have to be the best SEO content writer in the world. And the team we're starting to lose people because no one likes you.
Yeah.
That you're what I call a terrorist, which is someone that's highly productive, but has, doesn't fit core values.
Mm-hmm. It's bad. It's, you get that kind of person on a small team, especially, because how many employees now?
We have 12 full-time now.
Yeah. I mean, with 12 people, you get one bad person in there spewing poison everywhere.
Absolutely.
It can go bad really fast. So
I will say this, we've had like 2 of them ever in the last couple of years, because we were growing kind of fast and emerging, and we had 2 people, I think, that we ended up getting rid of in the last couple of years, and that's it.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good run rate.
Yeah. And our team was on top of that before we even were.
Okay.
They brought it to us. Hey, this is happening. I don't like this. You need to talk to this person. We don't like them for these reasons, whatever. So our team will weed them out before we will.
That's good. Do you have a favorite interview question you ask, 1 or 2, or is it just kind of free flow?
I'm trying to think. Let's see. What do we ask? We kind of it depends on the position. We might ask them to do something crazy for us.
Okay.
One we did, we were actually meeting a girl at Starbucks, me and my business partner, and we got her to do an Instagram, take a photo of us right there, and put together an Instagram post.
Right there on the spot.
Put it out on our Instagram, and, write everything up and figure out what you're going to say and get it out in, a minute or something like that.
Ooh, that's good. I like that.
And
That's good.
because, social media is big for us. So we're doing about 140 to 150 posts a week for me, Eric, and the company.
Yeah, you guys, by the way, you're doing a really nice job with your social media. Just so you know, as I was doing my homework yesterday and this morning, I was like, oh man, okay, I thought Riderflex was pretty good at our social media. You guys are doing a damn good job, by the way. So my compliments there for sure.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So I mean, me as a brand, Kevin and Eric are different brands, and so is the company. So that's important. So, we were hiring a new social media person, and it was like, all right now, me and Eric are.
I love it. Love it. Love that.
So we'll do that for different people, like videographers. Like, hey, what do you make a clip and send us 3 clip ideas for one of our clients right now. Here's our client. What would you do? Write out the storyline and send it over to us.
I think that's great.
So some of those, the rest of them are really just, how do you learn? And they're like, what? If someone's like, what do you mean? They're done learning, so versus I read every week. I love books on
I listen to podcasts, whatever.
If we hear anything like that at all, we're doomed. We're good to go.
Okay. That's good. That's good. So what's the plan now? And by the way, there doesn't have to be a plan, but I'm just curious. Are you and Eric, you're like, okay, we're cool right here where we're at. We're just going to enjoy our lives, or we're going to grow it to this other amount, or we're going to try to get acquired, or we're going to buy somebody.
Yeah, we are not done. That's for sure. So with the podcast that we have, if you weren't familiar with that yet, is called Journey to 100 Million.
Journey to 100 million. I did look that up, and I'm glad you repeated that for the listeners. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's our podcast. It's daily. It's Eric and me. We kind of do every other day.
It's good. It's almost as good as the Riderflex podcast. No, I'm just joking. Shit.
Well, yeah, ours is an interview. It's really us literally talking about every in and out of the business. So
I think that's awesome. No, I really think that's awesome. In fact, all joking aside, Scott and I talked about doing something like that. But anyway, so you're not done yet. Yeah. Go ahead.
So the name of the podcast is literally our 10-year goal.
Oh,
so $100 million in reoccurring revenue by 2030.
Reoccurring. That's tough to define when your customers are in and out in your business.
Well, they're not. We're not. So I think one of the questions you had on here was one I was going to answer is, one of the biggest things or largest things that we've done as far as the win is we took the company.
You weren't supposed to tell the listeners that I sent you the questions ahead of time.
Oh,
so go ahead. No,
I don't think you've actually asked the exact same question, so this is pretty good. So, but one that I saw in there that I thought was interesting was, what we did was when me and Eric merged, we still had no reoccurring revenue. We had none, and it took us a year and a half after merging to go. We're just doing the same thing, but now we just merged. And we said we have to do something, and we have to have predictable cash flow and income. So in less than 1 year, I think about 9 months, maybe 10 months, we went from 17% of recurring revenue to 100%. So right now we are 100% contract based. We don't lose clients.
Wow.
Very often anyway.
Wow.
Okay. We now have an NPS score, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with, Net Promoter Score.
Nope. I mean, I saw that on your website. I was wondering what that was. No, go ahead.
Yeah. So if you look up like Apple, or I think, all the big companies use it.
Oh, they do. Okay.
And basically you can ask your customers, how likely would you be to refer us to a colleague or a friend? And it's just a 1-question answer, 0 to 10. And it's a negative 100 to a positive 100 scale.
I see.
So a zero is not bad. It's kind of right there. FedEx is like a -3 or something. And
now, is this something you hit your client with, kind of like the same, like, hey, please write me a review, or does it work the same way?
Yeah. So I'm very big on client retention and relationship. And I have a whole process for measuring that and for our whole team to be on top of that. The first 90 days, if I signed on with you right now, the first 90 days, I'm going to be on your ass. I'm going to be waiting for you to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to still have buyer's remorse and be a little bit worried about the purchase I made, or, if you're going to get me an employee, if that's going to be the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
So they're on, we're walking on eggshells for the first 90 days.
Great. I think that's awesome.
At that point is when they start to become trusting and comfortable. And so we have a way of measuring that. So at 90 days, that's when we send out this question.
Oh.
And right now we have a 75, and we have no detractors, meaning no one's a negative number or whatever. So
Nice.
it took us a year to do that. We were like a negative 37 at first. And so we had to fire clients. We got rid of clients. We fired 33 at least that I know of. And now we're 100% recurring revenue. We're doing about 140,000 a month right now, all guaranteed. So
there's a couple of things you said there that I think are really important. So what's it called? What is it? An NPS score?
Yeah, Net Promoter Score.
How do you sign up for it? Like, how do you get that on your website? Do you just go to nps.com and look it up?
You can just Google Net Promoter Score. We use a software called Retently.
Okay.
Which will do the scoring for you and allows you to ask the question of the client.
I see.
And it keeps your score in there. If we get a positive, if we get a 9 or 10, there's the only two that are basically promoters. Then we immediately have a task created that asks them for a Google review.
Perfect.
And an on-site video testimonial where our team will come out and do a video testimonial.
I think that's so important. And for the listeners that have small businesses, if you're listening to this podcast and you don't think reviews are a big deal, you are missing the boat because it's huge. Your online reputation is so critical. And what Kevin is saying here is you got to manage it, right? It doesn't just happen by accident. You have to have a process. You have to have a plan. You have to manage it. You have to monitor it. You have to work it. It doesn't just happen on its own. And I think that's really important what you're telling the listeners here.
For years, I have, built up my reputation, but it was all based on just word of mouth, right? And I had nothing to show anybody.
Yep.
And these days, we all make decisions based on reviews, what other customers say, if it's a product or especially if it's a service. And, actually reputation management is a huge business for us. We do a ton of reputation management because these companies don't have a system for it.
They don't have it. Yep. And they don't have a system or a process. That's right.
Exactly. And since we have developed such a strong one, we're able to come in and help them and do a lot of that for them. So they pay us a good amount of money to do it, which is kind of a niche for us, I guess you could say.
That's great.
We have a whole system. I've actually, I've done a couple of talks on it, and I think I forgot what I call it, like 90-day promoters or something like that. But it's that first 90 days, that new client, you have to do a lot of extras. You have to communicate more than ever. And I think that's how most people mess up. And then the thing is, if you don't ask for the reward, you're not going to get it every time. So we have a process for it. And my manager, project manager, literally is waiting for that 90-day mark. The tasks go out. Based on what comes back, another task goes out. If it's negative, I got to get on the phone with them and get a meeting with them right away.
Yep.
To figure out what the problem is. But our process is so tight that won't happen. My team's going to let me know something's wrong way before 90 days. It'll be the day of. So. Again, if you don't have a process for that, I would definitely invest in that right away.
I totally agree. You great job in setting that up and managing your online reputation. Now I do see right on your website, it says Net Promoter Score 71. Let me ask you this.
75 now. We have to update that image.
Okay.
It's just a static image, actually. So
okay. Now the other thing you said, and I think this also helps with the reviews and scores, right? Like if you get a bad client, because we've all had them. If you have a service business and you've been in business long enough, you're eventually going to get a bad client. They're assholes, they're jerks, they don't pay on time, whatever, right?
Oh yeah.
And there's nothing you can do to make them happy, right? They're just never happy because they're psycho or whatever. And what you said earlier is so important. It's like, sometimes when you're in the service business, you got to fire the client. It sounds crazy because especially if you're just starting out and you're like, oh man, I'm just trying to pay my car payment. I need every
Yeah.
piece of revenue I can get.
You need everything you can get. And I actually had some guys that I know that are just, they've always kind of struggled. They have their own businesses, but they kind of do what we do, but one man show and whatever, they just never grew past that.
Mm-hmm.
They thought I was crazy because I told them, and I tried to refer some of them off to some guys like that. And they just thought I was crazy, to get rid of that revenue. But
it's not worth it. I mean, it's not worth it. First of all, it's going to make you miserable. Secondly, you're going to end up not doing the best you could do on the work because you're going to hate the client. And just human nature is going to cause you to deliver a subpar product or service in a lot of cases, because you're just going to be miserable and you're going to hate working with them. And then they're going to give you a bad score, and then they're not going to pay you on time. And it's just a snowball effect. You might as well just get rid of them. I remember the first time Scott and I, early on, before we had employees, we had this client out in California, and I told him, I said, listen, I'm 52 years old. I'm not going to work with assholes. They're not going to talk to us. They're not going to talk to you like that. They're not going to talk to me like that. I said, I'd rather, have less money than wake up and deal with people like that. And life's too short to deal with assholes. And unfortunately, sometimes clients fit that category.
yeah, we're not a fit for everybody. And I think realizing that has been a huge thing for us.
Yes.
And now what we've done is we've worked that back into the sales process. So
great.
You shouldn't be signing clients that are bad fits.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yep.
And so that's been huge for us, because I've done it. You sign this, you're like, oh, they don't.
Yeah. And isn't that a
My
great
team's like, they know we're going to get thrown through the.
Isn't that a great point, Kevin? Early on, right? Yeah. In that first meeting, you're like, I don't know, this guy's kind of an asshole. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah, we can't please them no matter what you do.
Yeah, you're right. You'll know early on. You'll usually know. So,
yeah.
so you guys are growing. You've done a great job growing it so far. Congrats. And by the way, congrats on getting through not only the early stage of your own business, third year before you were making decent money, and then you grew that, and then you merged, and now you're growing this new brand. Great job on the social media. I mean, are you gonna sell it now? Are you looking to get purchased? I know that's a tough conversation to have on the podcast, because your employees are probably going to listen to this and go, "Oh, great, he's planning on selling it."
No, I mean, that is definitely not in our immediate future.
Okay.
We've actually had people from around the country pursue it.
Oh, gotcha.
Probably, just seeing if companies are selling. But
now, come on, now, Kevin. The real answer is we're all for sale, depending on the size of the check, right?
That is right. It depends. Scott, Steve, how much money you got? You can
exactly. I mean,
we're not looking for that anytime soon. That's for sure. We know we'll do better by scaling this company, and with the processes in place and the cash flow models that we've built, we're going to be worth way more
good
down the line.
Yeah.
So right now, we're not even considering that. 10 years out, we hope to be the numbers that we're trying to be at. Right now, we'll probably end this year around the 2 million in ARR. So that'll be annual recurring revenue.
Great. Good for you, man. Good.
And we're at 100% growth rate right this second.
Wow. Okay. Well, you must
we've hired hired 4 people this year, and we're not hiring anyone else for the rest of the year. Our team is perfectly well-rounded.
Okay.
And we think we can go above 3 million without hiring anybody else. So.
And I got to ask you this real quick. I know we're getting close to wrap up, but you got another sales guy, I think, right? There's somebody else doing business development besides you.
Yes. Glenn Kosick here. We hired him back in April or May from a big TV company.
So what was that like? So you're with Glenn, you're trying to land, you're trying to land a contract. You've always been the one to bring in the business and get the customer to sign the freaking contract, right? The first time you're at dinner, Glenn's there, and he's saying some things that you're like, oh shit, okay, don't say that.
Yeah. So honestly, that was the one thing I felt was holding us back. We're doing good, but we weren't really growing as fast as we want. What's the one thing holding us back? Well, it's sales. I mean, me and Eric are doing other things, and we're not. We're kind of part-time salespeople.
Right.
And then when there is a deal, we have to work on that. Work on that.
Right.
And then we're not selling.
Right. Yep.
We're like, we have to get a salesperson, and we're fearful that we're just going to spend a lot of money and they're not going to actually sell anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we got to prepare for that. We plan for a $60,000 loss, to hire, because he's a pretty seasoned salesperson. So we had to pay him a decent amount. He's got benefits. He's older. So we were like, okay, we're going to lose the money. So we set aside that money, anticipating to lose it.
You just tell them, hey, Glenn, if you're not paying for your salary plus a profit, like, it ain't going to work, bro. Just so you know.
We're like, salespeople should make money, right? Not lose money. So yeah, we brought in Glenn, great sales guy. Glenn's been awesome. And you can probably hear me through the wall back here. But yeah, so what my thought was, I'm going to go, and he had the same thought. He's a relationship type of seller.
Good.
He's just like me in that regard. He wants to build, a perfect solution with the customer and collaborate with the deal, not just, hey, here's some pricing. And it really does work well.
That's good. No, that's good.
It allows us to have their best interest. Can we really help them or not? And if we were going to help you, what do we really recommend? Not sell a bunch of stuff to them that they don't need.
The reason I ask you is because when I was studying your team, I knew that you had been the sales guy, right? I mean, I had figured out, like, okay, Kevin's the one knocking down all the deals, and now all of a sudden he's hiring a sales guy, and you're bringing him, under your wing and showing him how to close deals. So I just wanted to ask you about that. Let me,
quickly, I'll say I went on a lot of the first calls with him, so a lot of first appointments.
Yeah,
because really he didn't know about the company. He didn't know what to say. He didn't understand. He doesn't know about websites or SEO either. So he's a digital marketing expert in the side of advertising.
I see.
But yeah, I had to sit in with them, and I still get a lot of meetings with him now, and it helps close the deal. So
yeah. Well, that's because a lot of times the client wants to talk to the man, right? They want to talk to the founder. They want to talk to the founder.
Yeah, I won't go to meetings if I look at it and go, that looks pretty low level. I'm not going to that.
Yeah,
if it turns into a second meeting and they're going to close potentially, then invite me in.
Good. So now at this stage, Kevin's had a pretty good career, from that young man who quit his job and his wife was making all the money, and what'd you say? You lost $10,000 your first year or something like that?
Lost $10,000 my first year. Yeah.
I mean, really congrats, on getting to where you're at. It's really a major accomplishment. At this point now, what's Kevin's core purpose in life? If you had to put that into a sentence or two, and if I kind of forced you to answer beyond your family, because, I think the pretty common answer is, do right for my family, take care of my kids, my wife, things like that. So if I kind of forced you not to be able to answer anything with the wife or kids, and I said, what's your core purpose? What would Kevin say?
Yeah, so that's an easy to answer that way. Take care of the kids, all that stuff. Of course, 100%. If they're listening, I love everyone. I'm gonna take care. But yeah, I think that's a good question. I mean, so I would say honestly, I feel like we've done good. We're doing good, but I feel like I wake up sometimes just thinking I haven't done anything. Like, there's so much more that I want to do and have to do. And it's not like I have the answers on how we're going to do that. I know growing a company to success, to be successful as I want it to be, will definitely help me with those accomplishments. And of course, I love to give back. I'd love to be able to donate to charities that I care about. There's things that I like to do activity wise that I really would love to be able to, get my family more involved in. And so I just feel like there's these bigger things out there that I want to accomplish. And I just feel like I don't feel accomplished at all right this second. That's for sure. So, and just, I want to be able to do so much more to give back.
You don't strike me as a guy that's content, by the way, because you first of all, you got all kinds of volunteering and organizations that you're part of. You have activities, like I said, I stalked you online. So I see you're doing all this active stuff, and by the way, you look like you're in great shape. So I'm assuming you You go to the gym all the time. So yeah, you don't strike me as the kind of guy that just is like, I'm good. I'm good where I'm at. I don't need any more. No, you strike me as somebody that wakes up every day saying, how can I make it better? What else can we accomplish? What can I do today that I haven't done? Like, whatever it is, the skydiving stuff that I saw. You strike me as always wanting more, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and sometimes I don't know. I feel like it's a curse sometimes, and I think it's really just about being focused, because I can wake up and be like, I want to do this, or me as entrepreneur, and me and Eric, we talk about like there's other businesses we could do. There's real estate, and there's all these things that I want to do, but it's almost like ADD, which I probably have for sure. But
most sales guys do.
It's what do you focus on, and I think it's hard to get rid of the noise and be like, okay, we're just going to do this. And I think the most important thing right now is just say, we're going to build this company, and that's going to be our best way to get where we want to go, so that I can donate money, so that I can be part of these other organizations.
Yep.
and do more for my kids. I think this is our best chance. So I think being focused on this more is the challenging part. It's like, we got to stay right on this and keep going, because this is going to be the way we get there.
Now, of the two children you have, one of them is a son, isn't it?
Yeah, my son, Nixon.
Nixon.
Nixon. Not after the president, but that's his first name. So, he's 8. And my daughter's Arden, and she is going to be 6 this month.
Those are both cool names. Now, if you had to write a letter and put it in a time capsule box for both of them to open when they're 21, and you had to write it today, what would you put in there?
Okay, so
see, this one wasn't on the list I sent you ahead of time, was it?
I don't think so. So, I mean, obviously I would tell them, stop partying, don't party too much, party a little bit. But I really feel like that's a pitiable, like that's a period where you can go off the deep end or not. You're right.
That's a great point. You're right. At 21, you can go left or you can go right.
So for one, it'd be like, hopefully that they're being straight edge and at least a little bit. I mean, party, whatever. I did that. But I really think it's, don't be afraid to do whatever it is you want to do. And you don't have to just take a job at something that you're okay at. If you want to run your own show, do it. I don't think that's for everybody, but you have to do everything you can. And I think going through college too, you can't just wait till you get out of college to start doing the work or practicing it. Mm-hmm. The best people we have were doing internships out of high school. And those are the people that are going to get the best jobs if that's what they're trying to do. So which means if you have a passion to do something and you've been doing it your whole life, whether it's art or whatever, then you're going to be better than everyone else. So don't just take a job to take it. Do what you want to do. Take all the risk. That's your best chance to take all that risk. You don't have any obligations. You don't have the liabilities. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to take a risk and you want to do something, do it then.
It's the perfect time to do it. And by the way, I just want to emphasize what you said, because there's a lot of people driving around right now listening to this podcast, just going to a regular job because they just took the job just because, and it doesn't mean anything to them and they're not passionate about it. It's like, oh my God, life's way too short for that. Like,
absolutely.
You don't have to do that. You don't have to live like that. You can do something that you're excited about. It is possible.
Yeah, it might not, it doesn't have to be money either. It could be less money.
Right.
I made less money for a while. So
I'm in that boat. I'm making less money running Riderflex than I was as an executive. And it's a hell of a lot more fun. I can tell you that. So, well, Kevin, hey, listen, I really appreciate you being on the podcast. Some good stuff. I really appreciate you sharing the personal stories and diving deep into, what it took to get your own business going. Thank you so much. I know I kept you longer than we had planned, but
that's fine.
I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you having me on, and hopefully I was able to answer what you wanted. And
it was great stuff. It was good.
Take something away from it.
It was good stuff. Now when your wife is not able to recruit properly for you guys and you need bodies, you can just call Riderflex. We'll take care of you.
Oh, absolutely. Well, my wife works for
Oh, she does.
a bigger firm. Yeah, she works for Beacon Hill Technologies.
Tell her when she gets tired of working for those big companies that don't care about her that she can call Riderflex and be part of our family.
Absolutely. I'm always. I mean, the company she does well there. She's a highest producer in the DC office.
That's great.
And she works from the house here. So she gets President's Club, and
that's great.
I get to go on cool trips and stuff like that. Their benefits are not good, and their retirement's terrible. But
well, your retirement is what you're working on right now, my friend. Right?
Yeah, but she's still my stability. You know, she gets a consistent paycheck, and I do too. But it's good to have her doing something like that versus us both being entrepreneurs.
That's another great point for the listeners, by the way. Yeah. If I really, all joking aside, if you do want to start something yourself, if your partner does have a W-2 regular paying job with health benefits, that helps a bunch.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a little scary if my wife didn't work for a little while, we had kids.
Right.
So, there was a short period in time, and this is true right now. My wife makes more than me now. We're pretty conservative at the moment. But as far as bring home, she brings home a little bit more than me. But there was a couple of years in there where I was bringing home all the money and she didn't work at all. So we kind of flipped roles, and then I was happy when she was like, hey, I'm going to go back to work. So, I said, go back to recruiting because you made a lot of money there.
You made a lot of money there. That's great. Kevin, I've really enjoyed it, man. Great conversation. Look forward to it. And we'll stay in touch. I'll give you a call. We'll do a follow-up. And
absolutely.
If there's anything Riderflex can do to help your business, let us know. And by the way, we need some SEO help. Forgot to mention that.
Let me.
We should talk about that offline. Yeah, we need some SEO help. So I'll get back to you on that.
What I can do is another thing that we do that's pretty cool, and we don't charge for this, of course, is we do a full digital review.
Okay.
Where it's about 40, 50 pages, but we look at everything: your social media, your website, your SEO, and how that impacts.
Okay.
And
great.
Also any paid advertising. We can see anything and everything you've ever done, and we can also look at competitors and show you where they are if you give us a list of those.
Great. Okay, great. Don't forget to throw don't forget to throw my discount in there.
No problem. And then so the review is totally free, and that's just you can hire us or not, but it shows us what you need help with and the opportunities that there are there.
Great.
And then sometimes people just say, well, we're not hiring you. We're just going to do this in house, and that's fine too. That's our free, like, hey, this is what we can do to help you.
And that's for anybody that calls you. Anybody. Okay, great. Very good.
Unless we do have some qualifiers usually if we don't know who they are. So if it's a mom in our house,
nothing against moms in houses listening to the podcast.
Or dads. I'm just saying if say it's a guy in a truck, a plumber, or just they're not at the size that can make a commitment to us, then we'll refer them to someone else.
Understood. Yep. Got it. All right, my friend Kevin, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. We'll be in touch. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk real soon.
All right, buddy. Take care. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.